Hi, so today we are going to show you how to make our fun fall flannel pumpkins. And you can make them in 3 different sizes. This is the large, this is the small, and there's a medium that I will show you at the end. So first I'll go over the supplies that you're going to need. You will need your pattern, a fat quarter of fabric, and we are using these beautiful flannels that we have in right now. You'll need a skein of embroidery floss, or you can use your pearl cotton, a pair of scissors. Helpful is a doll needle and your sewing machine. And it's very limited sewing, so this is super easy to do. And so I'm going to go over how this is done. The first thing you'll need to do is cut out your pattern. So I've got a fat quarter here of the flannel, and there is a grain mark on your pattern, and you are going to want to have that on the bias. So instead of it going flat on your fabric, the rectangle this way, you're going to need to have it at an angle on the bias. So you can tell on this fat quarter that I can get one large pumpkin, and I can also get another small pumpkin off to the side out of one fat quarter. So you can get with 2 fat quarters, you can get one of each size plus an additional small when you're cutting them out. So I don't necessarily measure to make sure I'm exactly on the bias. I just kind of eyeball it. The nice thing about having them on the bias is that they will just be smoother because the fabric is stretchy as you're creating your pumpkin. So that bias cut allows for a nice rounded pumpkin when you're done. And so once you've cut it out, so I've got my medium size here, you're going to take, and with your machine, you are going to put these right sides together and sew down the one edge. So I'm going to do that on my small one here, so just a moment. Okay, so I've sewn down with a 1/4 inch seam down that one side. I'll open it up and press that seam open. So I just do a quick press there. Okay, and now we're going to take our needle and thread and just do a running stitch. And I'm using all 6 strands of my embroidery floss to do a running stitch around the bottom edge of my pumpkin. And once I've done that, once I've created that running stitch, I then pull it tight to cinch in to gather up the bottom of my pumpkin. And then I wrap my thread. So I've got my needle and thread here. I will wrap it around and tighten it and then knot it so that you get a nice snug gathering for the bottom. So I've done my bottom where I've gathered it, my top edge. I've also done another running stitch, and you can see they're big chunky stitches here. So it's super easy to do by hand. And then I turn it right side out. There's the bottom of my pumpkin. I will then take my little pumpkin and I'm going to stuff it. And I'm just going to stuff it as full as I can. Just fill it up with your stuffing. Okay, so stuffing that up. When I think I've got it full enough, I add a little bit more because I like my pumpkins nice and plump. Okay, and then I'll take my 2 strands of floss. So this one had a knot in it. I'm just going to cinch those in. Cinch them in super tight, just tuck that stuffing in, and then I'm going to tie it off. Tie one knot, double knot it. And then I can just trim my strings. And I can use my scissors to just kind of poke that in a little bit, you'll see. Now this doesn't look pretty up here like it does on the bottom, but that's okay because we're going to be stitching and bringing that in. And then we're going to be adding our pumpkin stem. So then you will need, this is where you need the doll needle. On the little one, I can do it with my large chenille needle because I can squish it and get my needle through. But as you're working with the larger pieces, you're going to want to have that longer needle. Okay, so I'm going to thread my needle with my full 6 strands of floss, or you can use your pearl cotton to do that. I'm going to knot one end. I'm going to come up from the bottom. And I'm not going to come right in the hole because I want my knot to get caught. So I'm going to come up just to the side there. I'll come up through the center and wrap my thread around. Again, going in at the bottom, coming up and cinching it in. Okay, and that's creating those little lines, indents on the pumpkins. I'm doing it with a contrasting thread here so that you can really see what I'm doing. I then go and do the opposite side. So again, going around the pumpkin, coming up through the middle. You can see how easy this doll needle makes it. Trust me, I did it at home on this large one without the doll needle. And yeah, that was a tricky one. So I've got 2 across. I'll then go and I'll just keep doing it through the center there until you feel like you've got as many sections to your pumpkin as you like. And when you're done, you just tie your knot and you've got your pumpkin all sectioned off. Oh, I did not mention also that you will need, I've used on this one a little cork, a little wine cork for the stem. On here, we've used a little twig for the stem. So really you can use anything that you like. You can also take a piece of wool felt and a little strip of that, roll it up and glue the edge to use that as your stem. So really kind of versatile there. You can leave your pumpkins nice and simple like I've got them here. You can also take and just kind of fancy them up. So what I did on this one, you can see my stem here. I've got my sections with my threads here. And then I've just added some little silk flower and some stem or leaves here with some berries. And then I just took 3 bows, different ribbons, and just glued it into the center there. I've got it topped on top of an old bed spring so that it can just sit on a table as part of the decoration. So you can just leave them simple, just a fun basket full of them, or fancy them up, whatever you like. And that's just a simple, fun fall decoration. Use Halloween fabrics. They're really Halloweeny, but you use these beautiful flannels that we have. And then they're just great for all of autumn. You can leave them up from September on through Thanksgiving. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial.